Good afternoon, everyone. Wishing all a good day. Today is a very special day, as you all know, Gandhi Jayanti Day. We all know that it is celebrated to commemorate the birth anniversary of Gandhiji, who is also called the father of nation. His timeless teachings illuminate our path, and his impact is global, motivating the entire humankind to further the spirit of unity and compassion. So let us all work together for fulfilling his dreams of striving for a better tomorrow. And as we all know, following the President's nod, the Government of India has issued a Gazette notification for the legislation officially known as the Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adhiniyam. The bill, which is now an act, proposes 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies, regarding a bill pending for 27 years for want of consensus among the parties. Making it the first bill to be introduced in the new parliament building, the government has said it will enable greater participation of women in policy making at the state and national levels and help achieve the goal of making India a developed country by 2047. Now, today is the first of the Gandhi Jayanti launch of a new series, Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adhiniyam, preparing women for leadership roles. And we have Ms Jyotika Kalra. Her topic for today, it is inaugural talk, 33% reservation for women, ensuring them they do. I welcome you, ma'am. Mrs. Usha Nair, who's member in charge, liaison with international agencies and NGOs, will be introducing you formally. So welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I also welcome Kalyani ji, our president, Kuljit Kaur, our former Secretary General AIWC, Mrs. Sheila Kakle ji, who's a patron, Mrs. Indira Ramakrishna Pillai, who's the patron in Trivandrum branch, and Usha Nair, member in charge, liaison with international agencies and NGOs, Bhuvaneshwari Ravindran, member in charge of climate change program, and also the representatives of the various local bodies, both in Kerala and other places, and also members of the different branches of AIWC. I'm Kamini. I belong to the Trivandrum branch of AIWC. So once again, I welcome all of you to today's talk. And over to you, Usha, for introducing our madam, guest chief speaker of the day, Mrs. Jyotika Kalra. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kamini. Namaskar. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce the speaker as well as the new series that Trivandrum main branch is starting today. As we all know, the Women's Reservation Bill, which is now, as Kamini said, it is called Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adhiniyam. So that has been passed by Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and we are awaiting details about its implementation and other things. So when this bill was passed, we thought that it is because it has already been made clear that it may not be implemented in the next election in 2024, but it will be implemented by 2029. So we thought that during the time that we have, we should prepare young women to take up these roles which are with heavy responsibilities, that is in the legislators, assembly and Lok Sabha. And AIWC with branches all over the country and with such a huge reach into the community can definitely do a very good job of preparing young women so that politics becomes a good option for a career. And they are able to do very good things. We have already seen at the Panchayati Raj level that the women elected to the panchayats, municipalities, corporations, they are doing excellent work. After the last local elections in Kerala, we had hosted a series of webinars under the title Jana Pratinidhi. And we invited 3-4 elected women representatives from each branch area, and they spoke to us about how they got interested in politics, how they reached where they are today, and what they propose to do in their constituencies. And it was a very interesting and informative webinar, and it showed us how these women are so active and how they take up issues that are so close to the hearts of women. And also they work for the whole community, no doubt. And after that experience, we have been keeping in touch with them. Today also, I have requested them to join us. So that with that background, we thought we must start a series first to make all the women familiar with the clauses of this Women's Reservation Bill, because it is important that all of us know what it means and what are the conditions. And I'm sure Jyotika ji will be outlining the challenges and the advantages that we have in this in the implementation of this bill. So that is why we thought of a series based on this bill, preparing women for leadership roles. What we tentatively, we propose to have a series of talks, like starting today, this is the inaugural talk. We'll have experts in various subjects and fields speak to us about what is the role of a MLA or an MP. So what are the things that they should be prepared with? And then based on these series of webinars, hopefully we'll be able to prepare a syllabus and formulate a module, training module, where we can train women who are interested, not necessarily young women, young and older people also, to prepare themselves to take up these roles. But of course, we know that it is not very easy. It is not enough that we prepare 100 women ready to take up these roles. AIWC, right from the beginning, in the beginning when we were part of the Constituent Assembly, out of the 15 women members in the Constituent Assembly, almost 12 of them were members of AIWC. And there, when reservation was discussed, our leaders were very emphatic that they said that we don't need any reservation. And what they said was, All India Women's Conference, along with Women's Indian Association and the National Council of Women in India, they took part in the first roundtable conference. And there they took up about the regarding status of women, and the essential points were equal rights and obligations for all citizens, no disability to any citizen with regards to employment or exercise of trade, adult suffrage, women to fight election on equal terms with men, and no reservation of seats for women or nominations or co-options. This was what the AIWC stalwarts thought at that time. They said that we will find our place by our own merit. We will work for it and we will get it. We don't need reservations. But down the years, it became very clear when the first elections were announced in 1951. AIWC approached leaders of all political parties to include a fair proportion of women candidates in their list. But the results were very discouraging. And then they realized that without the parties nominating women, it is not possible for anyone, even the best of persons, to gain an entry into an assembly or parliament, or even at that time, right from panchayats in any election. So the approach changed a little in the following years, and they realized, the AIWC leaders realized that we cannot just dismiss reservation as something that we don't want, because there was no success in trying to convince parties to include more women in their candidate lists. So that is the background of AIWC's attitude and the opinion about the reservation bill. During the period 2008 to 11, when it was 2008, when it was first passed in Rajya Sabha, our quarterly journal Roshni We used to feature an article every issue, every quarter we were giving follow-up on the women's reservation bill. We were following up the progress and the different opinions observed, expressed in the press and otherwise. And then that was also quite a disheartening exercise, I would say, because though it was passed in the Rajya Sabha, it was never tabled in the Lok Sabha during that tenure. And then during the next one also, nothing happened. There was no progress in this. And there were several women's organizations got together and they were campaigning for it. They were demanding this, but nothing much happened. And now in 2023, we see that the bill has got past the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, and hopefully it will become a law very soon. So under those circumstances, what are the things that we should be aware of? That is what Mrs. Jyotika Kalra is going to talk to us about. To introduce Jyotika Kalra, first of all, with great pride, I can say that she is a member of AIWC. She is a member of the Standing Committee of AIWC, and we are very proud to have her as a member. She is as I had already mentioned in the invitation, she was a member of the National Human Rights Commission till 2022, till last year. And she is an advocate and record with the Supreme Court of India. She was also an independent director of Power Grid Corporation and Minda Sai Limited. Her areas of expertise have been constitution law, service law, corporate litigation, criminal law, and matrimonial law. She has filed many public interest litigations. Significant among them is opening up a channel for females to practice as makeup artists in the cine industry. That we had seen reports in the press how they had to fight to get a place that women can work as makeup artists in the cinema industry. And another one was about the non-recruitment of women in the armed forces. If we have a large number of young women in all the three arms of the defense forces, it is because of a case that was taken up by Jyotika, and now the women are treated almost at par in the armed forces. And recently she filed a PIL in Supreme Court regarding inadequate mental health infrastructure in prisons, that women in prisons are facing great challenges and there is no adequate mental health infrastructure in prisons. Again, I mean, her achievements go on like this, and she was a counsel for many leading cases concerning dowry-related harassment and domestic violence, a cause that is very dear to AIWC. She has been honored by the Supreme Court for 3 of her books. She was given the award of an outstanding woman in 2014 by National Commission for Women. She has been a member of many sexual harassment committees and has dealt with many sexual harassment complaints. She has attended many national and international conferences and has presented papers in several of them. Her articles related to women and law have been published in many newspapers and magazines. She has attended the Commission on Status of Women at United Nations. She was one of the speakers at the conference, that is CSW 65 in March 2021. Then at the Human Rights Commission also, she was speaker at United Nations Committee on the, that is CEDAW, and in the 79th session, and many other international fora. And she is also a teacher at the Delhi University Law Faculty. So with these few words, I introduce her. There is, I can go on and on about her work and achievements. I warmly welcome you, Jyotika. I am also happy to say that she has been a very good friend for many years, a friend to whom I can for any clarification of doubts or for any knowledge. Thank you so much, Jyotika, for agreeing to be part of this webinar, and I welcome you. Please, I give it back to Kamini. She'll go on with the webinar. She'll conduct the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha. Jyotika ma'am, I think you can start your presentation. And after half an hour of your presentation, we can open the webinar to the floor and let them interact with you. Is that okay, ma'am?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
Welcome
Kamini.
once again, ma'am. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Kamini. And I wish to thank All India Women's Conference Trivandrum branch, especially Usha has said, an old friend. Vasant Kunj, we met in her house. So for choosing such an important topic. It is like, becoming a cheerleader is very easy, like listening to the news and then clapping and becoming happy. This has happened, but without knowing as to what has happened and how, as a topic itself suggests, preparing women for the leadership roles. So the act itself is not sufficient until the women are prepared to join those positions which are will be lying vacant for them, where they'll be requiring the leaders to occupy those positions. I welcome all my friends whom I could see. I'm doing this web conference through my phone, but I could see Beena Jainji is there, Bhavna Joshpuria, Malti Kalmari, Rehana Begum, Shweta Rai, Sushma Moitra, Upasna Singh, Shubhra Manjirata, Sapna Acharya, and Vajanti. And I'll be missing some names. Please forgive me for that. Rashmi, you are there. So coming to the point, and when Usha was talking to me, I suggested this topic for this webinar, that is 33% reservation for women, ensuring them their due. It is no big, it is not like a gift which has been given. It is ensuring them what is due to them. If we go by the All India ranking or the representation of women, so the last Lok Sabha, this continuing Lok Sabha of 2019 to 2024 has 14.33% women, which is the maximum. And the reason for this many number of women in this Lok Sabha is because TMC gave 33% seats to its women and Biju Janata Dal, BJD, gave 33% seats to the women. That's the reason this last Lok Sabha has the maximum number of seats. And there are 31 women in the Rajya Sabha, which is 13%. Women representation as far as state legislative assembly is concerned, it is below 10%. And although when it was the first Lok Sabha, the number of women was only 5%. So we are lower, like representation of women in Lok Sabha or in the state legislative assembly. We are lower than many countries. And I'll just give you the data as per the UN women data. Rwanda has 61% women in their parliament, Cuba 53%, Nicaragua 52%. These are the top 3 countries as far as women representation is concerned. But the Bangladesh too has 21% women in their parliament. Pakistan has 20% women in its parliament. So both these very backward, poor countries are ahead of India as far as women representation in parliament is concerned. And I must also tell you, like, this always comes that reservation, no, let us fight and let us get it. It's not going to happen. It has not happened for 75 years. Pakistan too, the constitution of the Pakistan too provides for a reservation for women. It is 26.5% of the parliamentarians in the single house. Bangladesh has also provided for the reservation of women, constitutional provision in the parliament. And 48.5% of the Indian population is women, but only 27.4% women are in the workforce. I am giving this data because this has a direct correlation with the women contesting elections. So economic participation, workforce participation is only 27.4%. That's the point, the representation gets still lower in the parliament seats, etc., etc. And while I was a member of National Human Rights Commission, we had conducted an analytical study, Women's Right in India, an analytical study with CEDAW. So all the judgments of Supreme Court or High Courts, the constitutional provisions of India, and the legislative provisions, policies, They were all compared as far as with all the articles of CEDAW, and that entire tabular, that analytical study is there on the website of National Human Rights Commission. The first copy, it was released on the Human Rights Day, 10th of December 2021. The first copy was given to the Honorable President of India, who was present in that program, and it was also the United Nations representative who also there. They all also tweeted about that copy of the petition. I think if anybody is interested, he can have a look on this women's rights in India, analytical study, CEDAW and Indian Constitution, etc. So in that study which I did, it was under my chairpersonship. My very first recommendation was that to improve the representation of women in the upper echelons of lawmaking, affirmative actions are required, including legislature to reserve 33% of seats of women in Lok Sabha and in all state legislative assemblies. Earlier attempts, as Usha had also explained about that, but I also have a little bit of background. In 1996, first time the Women Reservation Bill was introduced in the Parliament. It didn't work. And 1998 to 2003, the government tabled the bill on 4 occasions, but it failed. 2009, the government tables the bill amid protest. 2010, Union Cabinet passes the bill, and Rajya Sabha also passed that bill. And I remember when it was 2010, it was passed. I remember the photo which was there on the next day in the newspapers. Nazma Heptullah, Virendra Karan, Sushma Swaraj, and other leaders, I'm forgetting their names. They were all holding their hands and, like this before the Gandhi statue. All the women legislatures were there celebrating the passing of this bill in the Rajya Sabha. And I was traveling in my car when I heard Honorable Arun Jaitley ji, who was the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, and he said that now the women will have a level play field. This was his words, that with this reservation, the women will have level play field. And that was the 108th amendment of the Constitutional. The law which was there, because I also, because of this conference, I also looked at that law. It was exactly the same. The words, etc., are exactly the same. This reservation is also for 15 years, and that reservation was also for 15 years. But as the bill was not passed in the Lok Sabha, and with the lapse of the Lok Sabha, the bill also lapsed. And reserving the seats for the women in the Representation of People Act is something which the state can always do, because Article 15 of the Constitution empowers the state to take special measures for welfare of women and children. So this is the 128th amendment to the Constitution, Nari, Shakti, Vandan, Adhiniyam. It has been passed in the Lok Sabha by 454 members. Only 2 votes were against. And it has also been passed by the Rajya Sabha, and the Honorable President of India has also given its consent to the bill. She has signed it, and now it is a full-fledged legislature. 33% reservation for women, and within that 33% reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes women. That is the essence of this bill. And this 33% reservation is Lok Sabha, State Legislative Assembly, and NCT of Delhi. This has come. Reservation for women in the House of People. The bill says it House of People. It is Article 330A has been introduced or inserted, and which mandates that the reservation of the seats of women in the House of People, and out of this 1/3, there will be 1/3 reservation for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. For State Legislative Assembly, there is the bill introduces, or rather now it's an act, Article 332A. It's a new insertion, and that mandates the reservation of seats for women in every state legislative assembly, exceptionally. Additionally, 1/3 of the seat reserved for SC and ST within this 33% of women. And presently, this house is of 545. So 33% reservation of women would mean 182 women in the parliament. And I think now it is 78 or something, the women in the parliament. So it's like, if it is 1/3, it is 182 seats for women in the parliament. And this reservation is for 15 years. Article 334A1 of this bill mentions that this is for 15 years. And now comes the real issue of delimitation, because it is easy to understand as to what is 33% reservation, as Usha had also explained about the 74th Amendment in the Parliament, whereby 33% of the seats were reserved for women in the Panchayati Raj as well as for the local bodies elections. So we all have that sense that local body elections, like in Delhi, we have Municipal Corporation of Delhi. So we know that 33% reservation. What does it mean? That this seat is now reserved for women. So this seat is reserved for SC women. We have that idea. And the most important aspect of this bill is, for understanding, as I said, that if we are discussing this bill, is the delimitation. Because Article 334A of this bill states that reservation will come to effect after an exercise of delimitation is undertaken. For this purpose, after the relevant figures of the first census taken after commencement of the Constitution, 128th bill. So after this bill, whatever will be the census, on the basis of that census, I mean the figures of the first census after this bill, delimitation, and thereafter on the reports of delimitation, thereafter this bill will become operative. And the prerequisite for this bill to become operative is delimitation, and that too after the first census of this 128th Amendment Act. Delimitation, if we want to understand in a simple language, it is redrawing of the Lok Sabha and Assembly constituencies. Like if we say, like I was in Delhi, so Rajouri Garden, we say that Ring Road, the area on the right side of the Ring Road comes under the South Delhi constituency. Area beyond on the left side of the Ring Road falls within the Central Delhi constituency. So delimitation is redrawing the limits of the constituencies. Each and every house, roads, or the sectors, or the squares, they all have to be taken into consideration for redrawing the constituency. I mean, the entire constituency has to be given a close. So these are the areas. This constituency will be this much, and that has to be done by the Delimitation Commission, which is always appointed afresh by way of an act. So Article 82, delimitation is a constitutional mandate to be carried out after every census. This is not for this case, but as far as the law is concerned, as far as Article 82 is concerned, the delimitation was to be carried out after every census. That is to readjust the number of the seats and their boundaries on the basis of the latest population data. So it's a regular process. I mean, as far as Article 82 is concerned, that you redraw the boundaries of the constituencies of the Parliament or the State Legislative Assembly, depending upon the data which has come after the census, and on the basis of that population data, you redraw the constituencies. And then a similar article in the State Legislative Assemblies is Article 170, which is similar to Article 81. And that also talks about redrawing the constituencies as far as the State Legislative Assemblies are concerned. Article 330 provides for the reservation of seats for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in the Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assemblies, and also requires periodic delimitation to adjust these reserved seats. So while the delimitation process will be deciding the boundaries of the constituencies, it will also working upon as to which constituency would fall within will become a SC/ST reserve constituency. And then this delimitation exercise involves studying the census data from broad state-wise data to granular Gram Panchayat level data. So very small, very details, the areas have to be studied. And I mean, this going by studying each and every which can run into years or so. And now coming to the point, for the last 50 years, since 1977, this delimitation has remained frozen. Should I repeat it again? For the last 50 years, delimitation has remained frozen. And this is not, it started, because this is not only this government, it started with the government of Indira Gandhi when she was the Prime Minister, that delimitation should stand frozen. The basic aim for freezing the delimitation was to encourage the states to follow family planning. Because if the states with more population will be given more seats, then states or the residents will not be interested in the family planning. And lastly, in 2001, say about from today, 22 years before, in the government of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, this extend the current, the freezing of the delimitation was continuing. But in 2001, the Honorable Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee decided to freeze the fresh delimitation up to year 226. So as far as the status of delimitation is concerned, as per the constitutional provision, delimitation is frozen till 226. Delimitation cannot take place till 226. So if this delimitation was
2020, you were saying 226. I think you meant 226? 2026, isn't it?
2026, yeah. 2026, yeah. So if this is frozen till 2026 as per the constitutional mandate. If we go by this requirement, if delimitation is the requirement, then this for making this bill effective, then this bill could not have been passed before 2026, because delimitation is frozen till 2026. So going by that logic, if delimitation is required to identify the seats which will be there for the women members, this could not have been done till 2026, because it is continuous 50 years of freezing of delimitation. And then again, this delimitation is a contentious issue also. Again, the southern states have been challenging that because we controlled our population, so because of the delimitation, our seats will be reduced, and the states like the Hindi heartland state, which did not control the population, their representation will increase. So for reasons that they did not follow the family planning, they did not acted smartly, they did not acted on the family planning concept, they'll be benefited by this. So that's the reason that delimitation has always remained a very contentious issue. And again, when Kani Modi was speaking in the parliament, she said that now if delimitation will be opposed, it will be taken as if those who are opposing delimitation are opposing women reservation bill. So opposition to delimitation, that it will encourage people to have more larger families, will in a way be taken as if it is opposition to the women reservation bill. And presently, this is, as I said, it is of 1977. These Lok Sabha constituencies or the state legislative assembly constituencies are of 1977. And as per 1977, 10.11 lakh, 10 lakh 0.11 was one constituencies. 50 years before, on 10 lakhs 0.11 persons, it was taken to be a constituencies. So even if we go by the population of today, even if the size of constituency is increased, maybe for example, it is made double. So now we say that the constituencies will be on the basis of 20 lakh population. Still, the UP might have 120 seats, which presently is 80 seats. Even if the size of constituency is increased to 20 lakhs, the UP itself might have 120 seats. So 40 seats more. Because it all depends as to what size of population the delimitation commission will keep for determining as to what will be the boundary of that constituencies, because that size of population will matter the most. And census, as far as census in India is concerned, it was due in 2021, but it got delayed because of the COVID. And as of now, there is no clarity as to when this census will start. It is in any case, the census will start only after 2024 election. So that is like somewhere June, July, but it will take time because census itself is also a very cumbersome process. And then as far as the rotation of seats is concerned, because in local bodies, what I have seen in Delhi is the women reservation seat rotates. That this seat is a women reserve, but next time it might not be the women reserve seat. But this law has mentioned in Article 334A, Part 3, that rotation of seat after every delimitation will be determined by the parliament by enacting law. So as of now, this law doesn't talk about or doesn't mention as to what will happen about the rotation of the women reservation seat or the SC/ST seat. That will be only decided by the parliament by enacting a law and after the census. So that has been kept to the wisdom of the determination by the parliament. And as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned or the state legislative council is concerned, there is no reservation under this bill. And we have seen, Usha had also mentioned about the 74th Amendment, Panchayati Raj bodies, local elections, which came into effect in 1993, so 30 years before. And it has worked very well. In many states like Haryana, it has become 50%. In many other states also, it has been increased to 50%. And I was reading a report of National Commission for Women. They said that women panchayats, I mean, wherever there are women leading the panchayat, they are more concerned about schools, they are concerned about the food, they are concerned about the wells, they are concerned about the clean water, they are concerned about, the maternity benefits. Whereas where there are men, they are concerned about the roads so that their bigger cars can go on those roads, and they are more concerned about that. Let us have a big playground. So wherever there are women leaders, they are like more concerned about the smaller issues, which are for the welfare or the betterment of the a big chunk, a very big system. So, and it was always ignored and it was always criticized that there are panchapatis. This will happen, there is a transformation. This might take place, but once anybody starts enjoying power, nobody can stop her. I mean, that's very automatic and that's very human. Once you give him or her the power, maybe it will take some time, but once we understand that I am the punch, I am the powerful person, her husband that much doesn't have that much of capacity or strength or power to tell her that you are not. I am your husband, I am your punch. No, the punch, I mean, it might take some time, but as of now, the women are doing pretty well as far as that is concerned. And again, very poor representation of women. Again, I am referring to Mr. Arun Jaitley's one of the Delhi Assembly elections, 5 years or 10 years down the line. And Mr. Jaitley, when he was asked that why have you not given seats to the women, that why, I mean, I'm coming to the point, why so poor representation of women in the parliament? Mr. Jaitley very clearly said that we look at the winnability of the candidate. For us, it is not to give a seat to the women, but we look at the winnability of the candidate, and we do not find winnable women who can get us the seat. That was his public opinion. And this belief comes primarily for the reason that women is considered to be a person whose primary responsibility is to take care of the family, to take care of the household affairs. This belief comes parallelly, other side of the coin, that women has to take care of the family. And not going further away, in 1979, C.B. Muthamma, who was an IFS officer, at that point of time, she was the first civil servant or who was selected as an IFS officer. At that point of time, the Indian Foreign Services had a clause that if a women officer is getting married, she must get a permission from the office of the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs. C.B. Muhammad challenged this in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court Justice Krishna Iyer was there. He said that if marriage brings responsibility for the women, the marriage brings responsibility for the men too. Why do you think that only the women, being a married women only has the responsibility and a married man has no responsibility? Similar belief system, I was listening to one of the former Chief Justice of India. He said that when we approach women that you come, please become a High Court judge, they always have an excuse. No, my children are small. My daughter is studying in 10th class or my son is in 12th class. So I cannot take a responsibility. This is, we all share a common genesis, especially men, that women have much to be looked after in their houses. So the road ahead is like we have seen the women have been done so well in the Constituent Assembly. As I always say, the All India Women Conference had 4 presidents who were the members of the Constituent Assembly. So women had done so well. Hansa Mehta is the one who was when I was a member National Human Rights Commission, the Honorable President also mentioned about her that she was the one who in the UDHI, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, brought the word person. Otherwise, it was a man. All the men. So Hansa Mehta is internationally known. So for that, to preparing you for that job, women will have to understand that family is not their primary responsibility. And this family responsibility needs to be shared. We must teach our sons that family is it's your joint responsibility, not your wife's responsibility. And women should participate in public debates, discussion, political things. They must stop saying that politics is a dirty game. So this is, women, they feel pride in saying that politics is a dirty game. We must have those kind of discussions and things. And I have seen in political parties also, those who have joined the political parties, I know many of our friends, they are only when there's a function, they are happy, wearing a very beautiful sari, pink color, red color and all, silk sari, bright sari, and then properly wearing good jewelry and makeup. And they are happy welcoming the guest with a thali, putting a diya in the thali, and then applying a tika on the forehead. They are really happy doing that. So they must stop. They must think that we must sit on the stage and speak for the rights of the women. And the discourse and the discussion of the women groups should also include politics, political leaders, their journeys, their struggle, and women politicians. How have they been able to have their work-life balance? And thank you so much. Thank you all for your patience and for listening. It was a topic which was very close to my heart. So for me, it is not a topic. It is something I enjoyed preparing it. And thank you so much, Usha, again, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, each one of you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was an interesting talk and a lot of bitter truth you brought out. And so definitely women have to be coaxed into taking up the double burden of coming into the parliament. That was an interesting presentation. So now we open the seminar to the floor, and anybody who wants to ask questions can ask. Feel free to ask questions.
Can I just make a few remarks before you start the discussion?
Sure.
Jyotika has just told us that when a woman knows that she has the power, that she is a member, she will not allow others to control her. So it is interesting to note that in 1936, Gandhiji sent a message to All India Women's Conference. That was, the conference was happening and he was requested to attend to grace the occasion, but he had some other engagement. He could not come due to other things. And he sent a message to All India Women's Conference. And in that he wrote, when woman who we call Abala becomes Sabala, all those who are helpless will become powerful. The exact sentiments that Jyotika has just expressed. This is what Gandhiji said in 1936. That is almost 90 years back, And then another thing I wanted to, I'll talk about that later then. So you can go on to the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dr. Jamila wanted to say something.
no, one more thing, one more point. I just
Please.
that is when AIWC was started in the constitution, it was very clearly mentioned that AIWC will not be engaged. It will be a national organization and it should be kept out of politics. So they were said that we have no politics, we will not indulge in politics. But then later, when very soon after, important matters like the position of women in the Constitution of India, their fundamental rights, their representation in various bodies, conditions of their enfranchisement were being discussed, then the leaders of AIWC felt that they could not avoid topics concerning politics in the widest sense of the term, if it was to perform its function of establishing women in their rightful positions in the state and the country. And so there was an amendment was proposed by Sarojini Naidu in 1932. She was a president later, but that time she was not the president, but she proposed an amendment that AIWC shall not belong to any political organization, nor take an active part in party politics, but shall be free to discuss and contribute to all questions and matters affecting the welfare of the people of India, with particular reference to women and children. So that makes it very clear that All India Women's Conference is not, we do not indulge in politics, that is party politics, but then we are allowed to discuss all topics concerning women and children and the society in general, where their lives are, their rights are affected. So we are very much in politics, but we are not in party politics. So that is one point I wanted to make.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you.
Namaskar, Usha ji. Namaskar.
Boliye.
Ha, namaskar. Vandan, it was an excellent speech. Thank you. I have written my question, Jyotika ji, to you. Can we prepone the delimitation process in Lok Sabha by Parliament? Is there?
I think I was listening to the Honorable Home Minister. He also mentioned that because by a constitutional provision, the delimitation has been frozen up till 2026. So although, because when this constitution can be amended, that delimitation can also be frozen. But as of now, if it has to follow the census is not going to take place. So even preponement of delimitation will not have any, cannot have any impact because it has to follow the census. And census cannot start till the end of 2024, earliest possible.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Jamila, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Jyotika, for that very interesting and enlightening talk. I was intrigued by this notion that you said, you know, when the Panchayati Raj brought in more women into the political arena, their contribution was more towards schools, food, things like that. Whereas for the men, it was roads and many other, what you'd say, so-called economically highbrow items. Yeah. So it was what kind of, I like this attitude that came in, where all these women of the Panchayati Raj were supposed to do the very elementary kind of things in a panchayat, where the men would go for the bigger things. So I think in a forum like this, AIWC, and we are thinking about starting sessions on leadership, this is a seminal issue I think we have to take up, because when the women's liberation movement started, I remember we started with the personal and said the personal is political, to say that nothing in our lives is apolitical, everything is political. So I think that state of mind, as you rightly said, you know, the male population have also got to accept that life is complete only with all the basics and, of course, major items like roads and companies and bigger institutions. So my question to you is this: how do you think it will be possible for the Panchayati Raj members, women members who are already there, to shift their focus from the very basics to something that is, I would say, out of a gender stereotype.
No, I didn't say it is a gender stereotype.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, a political leader is there to serve the constituencies. So it has to serve the maximum number of people. So if there is not a good school, so education is the essence or the basis of the development. So it touches upon the basic things. And if that is not strengthened, if that bottom or that base is not strengthened, we cannot expect. As I mean, you said, I am not on to that point whether they are required to change their mindset. I'm only saying this is how that NCW report found it. There may be women who think like there are pilots. There are women, the Indian Air India had a flight, all women on one of the Women's Day. The entire crew was Delhi to New York. The entire crew was women. So as Usha had said, the army entry of women, NDA also now recruiting women. So it's not that all women are of stereotype thinking about that. There are the women who are pilots, the women who are getting entry into NDA. They certainly have a different, like as a lawyer, my mindset would be certainly different. Like I don't get any interest in, I mean, millets. I'm not discouraging anybody, but I never get any interest. So this is, professional, your upbringing, the society you move into. The things also change accordingly.
No, I was not thinking it. I think you got me wrong. What I was trying to say was that women now in the Panchayati Raj, you rightly said, their interest more is for the basics of life. It is not to ignore that. I'm saying that women should rise above that, and the kind of leadership programs that we can give them should enable them to do the basics as well as now what is supposed to be the male fort.
So I'm concluding by commenting, forget about Panchayati Raj, talk about the present reservation 33%, whether women are prepared for that. I mean, make themselves prepared. I said women generally are happy applying a tika, taking an aarti, wearing a good, beautiful sari. So we need to change, each one of us need to change our mindset. That is the most important thing, because otherwise they'll again say we don't have enable women. They might change the law.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
constitutional amendment.
Right.
Yes,
yes.
And they say no, it
Yeah.
is not working.
Yeah, you're right.
Women are not there, so it's
Yeah.
not took a stand. But we are thinking of taking a U-turn. So that's not the point. Let us focus on ourselves. Have discussion meetings.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? That this
Yes.
is Meenakshi Kumar. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Please.
Go ahead. Please go.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Usha ji for taking up such a topical issue, and Jyotika ji for throwing light on it. Very beautiful presentation. Now, I would please pardon my knowledge about law, but with these issues like census and delimitation factoring in, we expect the bill to pass in, bill to become law in year 2026.
Not 26, not 26. 24 to 26 would be delimitation. 24-26 would be census. 26 delimitation. So it can become law earliest by 2029.
Okay, so if at all we have a change of government, if we have change of minds of people who are at the helm of affairs, so do we expect that there can be change of this laws?
Yes.
So
Why not? Because the earlier women reservation bill which was passed, that didn't have this condition of census or the delimitation. Because presently, I mean, for reserving the seats for women, there is not much to be done. Like every year there are 50% women. Any of the random for women.
there are
And
some
there are SC seats which are already reserved. So out of those SC seats, any of the three randomly, any of the 1/3 seats may be randomly reserved for women. And one more thing, because who stops the political parties from giving seats to the women? As I said, TMC and BJD gave 33% seats to their women. Each and every party can give 33%, because now when Congress is claiming that the bill is ours, so let them come forward and then let them give seats, 33% seats to their contesting candidates. Akhilesh should give 33% seat. BJP should give 33% seat. Who stops them? If they are really serious about it, under this 545, give 170 seats to women.
True.
And if you're
Well,
not, that means you're not serious about it.
and
Yeah.
there's no
Serious
point
about
of
it.
and there's no point of making law about it. I mean, it should automatically come from the change in the women's education and their abilities, you can say. I mean, they should be brought forward and take control of things. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just one observation, if I can come in here.
Sure.
I was just wondering, like you talked about why, we can start off with this whole process much earlier. And the point is to be able to create, that sense of leadership amongst women. So I think immediately what women can do is to insist upon the party is giving away 33% of their seats to women. Why can't they do that first? Instead of waiting, like I've just put this comment that this bill is like a post-dated check, which may bounce back. So in order to prevent that, why not, insist upon or articulate the need to make the parties reserve 33% seats for the women, rather than wait for this whole process, the tardy process of census and delimitation, which I think can also be dispensed with in order to implement the bill. And the other point is, like when Jyotika talked about the need to get out of the stereotyped image or role, or a self perception of women. The word in the amendment, Vandan, Nari, there is this word Bandhan which has been, put into that amendment. So why put that again? That, amounts to give respect to women, rather than, we are not looking for respect, we're not looking for worship. Now we are looking for our rights, which would be or can be asserted in the most effective way through this reservation. So in order to, I think, hasten this process and not just sit, accepting it as a post-dated check, we need to ask for the 33% reservation from each of the parties which have supported this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Shashi. Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I would like to thank Shashi Khurana ji, Kuljit Kaur, Ranjana Banerjee, Yuthika and Kalyani Raj for joining this. Thank you so much. Yes, you can continue.
There is a question in the chat box. She is asking about the reservation, what you said. I think Malati Kalmadi, would you like to ask that question? Please unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, Jyotika, as usual, your session was fantastic. And thank you for inviting. And I just wanted to ask you, will there be added reservation in this 33% to minorities or to any other group or communities other than SC and ST? Because you mentioned SC, ST from this.
No, this is only for SC/ST reservation, because as far as our constitution is concerned, there cannot be any reservation on the grounds of religion. So,
Okay.
I mean, religion cannot be ground. Only the backwardness can be a ground, and reservation for women and children can also be a ground. So the OBC reservation is their Article 15(4). Women and children, they are Article 15(3). And for OBC, there is another article was inserted for socially backward people. Up till now, there cannot be any reservation on the ground of religion.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it is
Jyotika, can I ask?
Yeah.
Jyotika, can I ask something? No, about the reservation, what I understood from the press reports and other reports was that this 33% SC/ST, that is within the quota that is already there for SC/ST, isn't it?
No, it is, look, 1/3 reservation for women. So think there are 100 seats. So out of those 100 seats, 33 seats will be reserved for women, and within that 33, 10 or 11 seats will be reserved for SC/ST. So 11 SC/ST, 22 for the other for the non-SC/ST women, and remaining 77 for men. And there, within that 77, there is also a reservation for SC/ST. That's that, like that.
What I wanted to ask was, already there is reservation for SC/ST, isn't it?
Yes.
And, then, this happens. Suppose, out of 100 seats, SC/ST is already getting 20 seats. And if it is as you explained now, 33% of the seats reserved for women go to SC/ST, and then the parties may decide that the other quota will be filled only by men. So that becomes, the SC/ST quota becomes much larger.
No, it will never become larger. If it is entire 33% SC/ST reserved, so out of that entire 33% SC/ST reserved, 1/3 will be women and 2/3 would be men. SC/ST quota will not increase.
No, so SC/ST quota will include these women also. That is what you mean.
Will include, yeah. Out of that
that's
SC/ST
what I
quota, 1/4 will be women.
Yeah, thank you.
This
Thank
SC/ST quota would have a different component: 2/3 men, 1/3 women.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha.
उषा जी बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you for joining also. Anybody else wanting to ask questions? Or Kamini, can you read out from the
Yeah,
chat?
I'll read out. I think most of them have said excellent presentation. Upasana Singh, then Malati Kalmani has written very interesting. Jyotika, thank you. Sornalata from Pondicherry has a very informative session. Bhavana Doshipura has an excellent and enlightening talk. Ranjana Banerjee, very informative and engaging session. Thanks, Jyotika. From Bhavana Joshipuri again has said whether Parliament can prepone the demilitation process that you've already mentioned. Then will there be a separate reservation? That also has been cleared. Deepa Shukla, very informative session. Ranjana Banerjee again has said we seldom exercise our rights and that makes us victims of situations. She's written that. So Rahana Begum has said excellent presentation. Shashi Kurana has said this bill is like a post-dated check. Political empowerment of women will also help us, as written by Vasanta Kumari Jayaraman. And Jyotika Mishra has said, thanks, Jyotika, great presentation. Then Ranjana Banerjee has said, Jyotika, do you understand the SC/ST women population truly understand the impact of this reservation? She has asked. Bhuvaneshwari Ravindran has said, thank you so much, Jyotika, for
read it out. Should I read it out, or I'll say
you can say. Okay.
It's a bit long. I don't want you to trouble yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, Jyotika ji, that was very good, and we could understand a lot of things about the background. And what we have been hearing is after the bill was passed, it was the delay in implementation because of the delimitation and the census being delayed. So now we got the idea why it was frozen for the last so many years, 50 years, and now at least we have a light at the end of the tunnel. The 26th, we will have this unfrozen, and we can start that. So this is something really good that we could understand all these things, and many things we could understand. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Bhuvaneshwari.
Yeah, one more thing I would like to say. I think it was Shashi Kurana who mentioned that we must approach the political parties to have 33% candidates in their list.
Yes.
So this is something that we have all been talking about. But can Shashi Kurana or anybody else suggest a way of doing it? What can AIWC do to get this done? How can we?
I think it's very simple. Write a letter to all the President BJP, President Sappa, Samajwadi Party, President All India Congress Committee. Write a letter to all the presidents that you have given your consent for 33% reservation. Please start it. Who is stopping you from giving the tickets to the 33% women?
No,
Right,
but
right.
will they listen? Because I mentioned that our campaign in 1951 elections, when our leaders, like, great women like Muthulakshmi Reddy and others, they went to each political party and requested them. They didn't ask for 33%. They said, at least you have more women on your panels, but nobody was willing to listen. So now will the parties listen to us by our...
Forget about they will
I
not
think-
listen. They have not listened for so long.
Yes.
I'm not
Oh, so-
expecting that they will
It's not,
respond.
I think
But
it's not
this
a
much
question of
commitment.
listening. I think it's not a
It's-
question of listening. As you rightly said, Arun Jaitley had said, we can't find women. We can't find
Renewable.
Yes,
women.
they will say that
Renewable.
we can't find the women to take up this job.
Yeah,
Renewable. Those who
Ah,
can win elections
so
for us.
that's the
We will try
attitude.
it.
So
But
that
then-
is the attitude, not that they
Ah,
can't
yes,
find
yes.
good
That
women,
is the
but that is
attitude.
the attitude of most political party leaders and party men.
Yes.
So that is why, in spite of all that has been done, they keep saying we cannot find women good enough as so-called men.
who can win elections?
win
Yeah,
elections.
who can
No,
win an
no,
election.
no, it has been on my mind that if all of us get together, all the women's organizations, all the women, and we say that if there is a woman candidate, we will vote only for the woman candidate, irrespective of the party or any other country. So is that possible? But it's very difficult to.
I don't know.
Women's organization came together asking for the reservation, asking for the bill. That is even in
I think
2008 and after.
I don't think that is a rational.
Yeah.
That is a rational approach. Better approach would be to give tickets to 1/3 women.
But they will not give. They will not
They
give.
may not. They may not. But then they should not say that we are supporting this bill. If they
No.
don't give, then they will have to look into their own mirror that what they said and what they are doing.
But that doesn't help our cause. We still don't get seats. We remain where we are.
True, but I mean,
How
we can
do we
only
get-
try. We can only try.
Yeah, we can only
No,
try.
that is right.
The analytical study which I did at National Human Rights Commission, the very first recommendation is this. I mean, it's only for us to assert it.
So how do we do it? We can
I
start.
said, writing a
Right,
letter to
yes.
the president. The president,
No,
respecting
we have to bring together all the women's organizations, all
Maybe.
everybody
Yes.
to do it, because AIWC doing it will not make any difference to anybody. That is the thing. So,
But can I say something, Usha?
I
yes.
Some women's organizations are pro-political parties.
No, even but you can't say that, because when in 2009 the bill was stuck, I remember Brinda Karat brought a private bill. She said the parties are not doing it, so I'll bring a private bill. That was not in line with the party thinking, maybe, but still, they will all. We can try and bring the.
But
women's
Usha, I think there is a political motivation also behind passing this bill, because in 2024, all the political parties are going to face the election.
Election.
And they cannot let go of the women votes. So if they go against the bill, naturally, they will lose a lot of votes. So
Yes.
it is a political move. It's a political agenda that they made them all go for the bill. But they are also happy that this will happen only in 2029.
Yes.
No, so at the elections, then we can put pressure on the parties that you have passed the bill. So you give, as Jyotika said, that you give 33% of your seats to women. And then earlier, when this was going on, the discussions were going on. I remember that one suggestion in the parliament itself was that you increase the number of seats in parliament by that much, and then give it to the women, so that no man is loses his seat. But then, now in a very devious way, they are bringing in the same thing, because by delimitation, definitely the seats will go up. So, that it is almost equivalent to that, though it is not being put forward as that. So depending on the delimitation, definitely means that they are going to increase the number of seats and then give those seats to women, so that the men don't lose seats. So all this, it is very, we feel very concerned, because when earlier many parties were opposing, and now suddenly for all of them to come together and say that unanimously they are passing the bill.
Yes.
So we sort of sense a male political conspiracy.
Yes, exactly.
Just to keep women happy. and then not do anything, so that we don't get anything and they don't lose anything. That is what
I think what we can do is what
they get all the
Shashi Khurana has
appreciation.
just said, we could actually get women's organizations together and write letters and with signatures and names to the concerned political heads.
has
Yeah,
to be
I think we can draft a common letter, which
Yeah.
goes from on behalf of all the
I-
women's
I can have-
organizations.
I extend
I
my
think Madam
service.
is saying something. Jyotika
Yeah.
is
All
saying
right, great.
Yeah, Jyotika can do that. Yeah.
Usha ji,
yes.
hello, namaskar,
हाँ,
Usha ji,
बोलिए,
Jyotika ji,
बोलिए.
being member in charge, resolution drafting, I think I must send a circular for this to all
Yeah.
branches, right?
No, and we must make that letter
Right.
what is being drafted.
Yes, I will have
because it's not
guidance
have
from
any
you,
purpose.
and we'll prepare the draft, and we'll send
We have
to
to
you
keep
to
writing to all the political
and to
parties.
President, Madam. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
And Jyotika has already sort of offered her services to draft the letter. So let's have that from Jyotika, and then that can be circulated to AIWC and further to the other organizations.
Yes.
To all organizations, irrespective
All.
of party affiliations or
Yeah.
what.
Yes,
the
exactly.
women
To as many
understand.
women's organizations as we can reach out to, because
No,
it's
not only
important now to create that pressure.
At the
Yeah.
individual level also, we can
Yes.
approach women and say that this has nothing to do with party politics. We are doing it for the women. So
Yes.
Yeah, at least let us take a positive
Let us
step
do
to
that. Let
Right.
us be the
2024
first step.
election.
that is better.
Yeah.
So Jyotika, I hope you will draft that and send it to us, so that at least, in Kerala, definitely we'll take it up immediately and we'll start doing it. If you can help us.
Yes, in Karnataka also we're going to take.
Okay.
Okay,
I
that's
think we
good.
are going to have this series, of this meeting. So in the next meetings, we are proposing to talk to the councillors of corporations and all that. No? So that also will be an empowerment for them to take up higher responsibility of MLAs and MPs and all that.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, many of them will be not not very sure or confident. So we can increase that through whatever way we can. So
Motivate them.
we will use our webinars for that also.
Yeah, Lata Rajendran, I think she wants to say something. Dr. Lata Rajendran?
Yes.
Yes.
You want to say
You
something?
want to ask something?
No. The thing was very informative and very useful. In fact, we have to tirelessly keep trying for it. We must approach all the parties, and till they say they implement it, we shouldn't let them in peace.
Suniti Jawhari wants to ask something. Suniti? Suniti, you want to ask something? No, she has unmuted herself, but I don't think she wants to ask.
Hello? Hello,
Hi.
Hemalata is here.
Go on, Himlata.
Please.
Yeah, all these things are different. I am in cooperative sector. I am standing in the general only, and I am taking first or second place in my cooperative sector in Mysore, having 16,000 members. So that also we can do. Even in MLA part also, in general, we can stand and we can thrive. Only we have to motivate the ladies. Ladies together, if they come forward, we can. I think so.
Yes.
Yes, that is what we are trying to do through these webinars.
Yeah.
More women interested in taking up a career in politics.
Yeah. This
Yes.
is my experience.
Yeah. Thank you.
That too, all are graduates only.
Okay.
Yeah. We have celebrated centenary celebration also, and we are keeping that level. And I brought many ladies also in reservation and also in general and in other ST, SC, all those things, only the ladies. Yeah.
Thank you, Hemlata.
Hemlata
Our
ji.
patron Beena Jain has joined. Beena ji, आप कुछ बोलेंगी? No.
Thank you, Usha. But it's a very, very good presentation and very good discussion. So you go ahead. But as I told you yesterday also, that I am very keen that we should do something, and the AIWC should take up this program in a large way. And AIWC can write to all the parties that they are ready to do the training program and whatever is for concerning us. But everybody is taking interest and valid, their points are quite valid. So I'm quite glad you are going very nicely. And I have a lot of confidence in you that you will go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beena ji.
Veena ji.
Jyotika is from Beena ji's branch. Jyotika represents Beena ji's branch in standing committee.
Yes.
So
Very-
can we wind up now if there are
Yeah,
no
I
more
think so.
questions or so Kamini, you can go ahead.
That was an interesting presentation and interesting interaction, Jyotika ji. And we only wish that we women rise up to the occasion of representing ourselves in the parliament. Let us hope that we can do our best for it. Thank you, ji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Deepa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jyotika, for
Very
excellent
good presentation.
Thank you, Beena ji, pranam.
Pranam, pranam, Bhavna, pranam.
Pranam, Veena ji.